In our last episode, we finally left Miami after our RVing winter and 5 weeks on the hard having repairs and upgrades done to our boat. We're slowly cruising America's Great Loop, which is a circumnavigation of the eastern part of the U.S. by waterways. When it gets too cold, we store our boat and then return to our RV and continue roaming around the U.S. in the south. This place. Goodbye, Miami. This is a special bottle that was sent to us by Don and Kim, who are the Harvest hosts, and they sent it for our, I guess it's called legal wedding marriage thing last year.
1 year ago today.
Which we never got around to enjoying the bottle because we kept saving it for a special occasion.
So our first anniversary is a special occasion, so thank you guys.
And it's also our first night back on the water after a few months of chaos. 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Since we signed some documenting things.
1 year legal. Going on 12
in
together in spirit. And the perfect way to celebrate is back on the water. Why not? It's finally out of Miami. Technically out of Miami. We're still in North Miami, so we'll double celebrate tomorrow when we get to Fort Lauderdale, and we're out of all things called Miami. But we're back on the water. Where are we?
We're at Holliver Beach.
Yeah, we're at we're at the Holliver Inlet anchorage, right across from Holliver Inlet, and
right off Oleta State Park is right over there.
It's a beautiful big anchorage, and it's actually really quite nice.
During the day it was a little it's still spring break, and it's a little chaotic. There's a lot of party boats around, but they've all cleared out.
Yeah, including one that parked right next to us, turned on loud music, and then proceeded we got to just witness them crash their drone, and then the wife yelling at the husband, and the water drone.
Okay, yeah. So we went off for a dinghy ride,
and then we got back from the dinghy ride, and got quite a little scare thanks to
Kiki.
We had a cat overboard drill. I was actually see this.
She did not go overboard.
Yeah. I see this shoreline over here. I was rowing back and forth on the shoreline, freaking out. Cherie's searching the entire boat because our cat had come on missing.
Not while we're on the dinghy ride.
No, she just disappeared because cats can do that.
Yes. So Chris was flying his drone. I was up on the top deck doing some yoga, and it's extremely calm here. So we're letting Kiki just roam around. She's very comfortable on boat. And then it's okay, where's the cat?
And we look everywhere, every possible hidey hole, underneath every piece of furniture, every closet.
But every so often we hear this jingle bell.
Yes.
So we know she's on board.
Well, we weren't 100% sure. That's why I had rowed to shore and was trying to find something.
Well, we were getting desperate. It's okay, are we just hearing jingle bells in our ears?
But we'd hear a bell, and it turns out she had found a new secret entrance into the crawl space over our bedroom.
Where someone stores his drone and hadn't shut it up. Okay, here's the helicopter.
Yeah, we called search and rescue, and now the helicopter's here. You guys, we don't need you anymore. Yeah, no, we found the cat. She was just playing in the attic above the bedroom, a tiny little fiberglass crawl space.
Oh yes, I called Chris. Yeah, I hear lots of bells. And she wasn't stressed because she will
She was
meow.
having a good time.
She will meow. She was just exploring.
So our heart rates are still a little elevated. But now we're gonna chill out, make some fish tacos, and just enjoy our first night at anchor since before the incidents.
Yes, that was early November.
Oh gosh.
So I never thought we'd get here. This is a huge, huge milestone for us, and we're so happy to be back on the water, back at anchor.
Oh yeah, there's this beautiful. I just love sitting and just watching the view constantly changing outside as we swing back and forth, and we did it. And tomorrow, Fort Lauderdale, and then continue further north.
Yeah, we're gonna take about a weekish to get up to Fort Pierce. We've already moved our reservation back because we did get delayed in Miami a little bit longer than anticipated. Well, expected or desired.
But we passed our sea trial with flying colors today.
Yes, we did. And it was fabulous having Traveling Robert on board. Thankfully, we didn't really need too much translation, but it was fun to have him on board. That was super cool to get to know him.
The translation was basically, no vibration, everything's perfect, seems great, go faster.
Yeah.
Yep, still perfect, all great, perfect. Okay. And now we're free. Okay.
All right. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Ah, we're floating.
Still.
Yes. So we've had an awesome last few days of being back on the water, actually cruising and making miles on the Great Loops.
So last we left, we were at Hullover Anchorage, and then we headed to Fort Lauderdale. And we had this one on our bucket list of places to stop in, and that's some awesome urban marina stay up the New River.
This is the Fort Lauderdale Downtown New River Marina, which is right in the heart of downtown, right in the midst of everything. And that also means you're right in the heart of all these big, giant, multi-million-dollar cruise ships, huge tour boats going up and down with thousands of people on them, and a very twisty little river going up there with lots of drawbridges and stiff currents. So it is basically about as adrenaline-inducing as a little waterway can be. It was actually
For
very
our
cool.
second transit back on the water this season, it definitely was a challenging skill set for us boating newbies, but he
Yes.
rocked it.
We went from having never had to deal with drawbridges before to, I think in just the last few days, we've done something like 20 drawbridges. We've done so many bridges and had to talk to drawbridge tenders and stuff. And yeah, upped our skills and confidence quite a bit.
So yeah, the train was passing, so they were waiting for the train bridge to open so we could get to our little dockside slip. And the winds were kicking up a little bit. We timed it perfectly for slack tide, so we didn't have to deal with the currents coming in and out. So slack tide is either at the bottom of the low current or high of the high current. So it's
High tide, right. Yeah.
So when there's or high tide, so that the currents are minimal or nothing. So that's called the slack period. And we knew from reading a lot of reviews of this marina, that docking is a lot easier if you're not dealing with the current. So
Yes.
we had timed it for slack.
And so yeah, we did that well, and got docked. It's kind of exciting going through, because there's this when the railroad bridge was down, 4 boats had queued up and were just bobbing there, waiting, trying to keep from drifting into the sides of the river, and then go through and get out of the traffic, get over to the marina, and get docked, and then we are downtown Fort Lauderdale.
Which was awesome. We were walking distance to stuff, except for walking distance to the marina office to check in was like, because it's all along, the whole marina is like along the entire Miami River. So getting
New River,
sorry. I got to get away from that stupid Miami River. So walking to the marina office just to check in was a little bit of a haul, but it was fun. And then we met up with our friends, Chris and Jim, of the Geeks on Tour. They teach basically technology tricks to folks. They have like a YouTube channel that they do. What does this button do? Teaching you how to use your smartphone. But we met them on the road. They were full-time RVers when we were, and they teach at a lot of the rallies around the country. And so we spent an afternoon. That's their home turf. That's where they're now part-timing at.
Yes. And so they decided that the best way to see Fort Lauderdale was to take us out on the water, and we actually got a trip on the Fort Lauderdale water taxi and did the entire circuit route, which was basically the river we had just done, and then scouting ahead up the intercoastal, but with a fun narrator and a bar.
Yeah, so we happened to get on the only double-decker water taxi they have in service right now, which has a bar on board. So we just stayed on board. It happened to be happy hour that time. So we just stayed back, sipped drinks, and
caught up with the Geeks on Tour.
Yeah, it's super fun. Thanks, guys, for showing us your town.
And it was kind of recon for us, because it actually helped us decide whether we wanted to go up the intercoastal, or we were considering going out the Fort Lauderdale Inlet, the Port Everglades Inlet, and going out up the ocean to Lake Worth. And we decided, based on how the weather was changing and how nice the intercoastal was on our water taxi cruise, to do the intercoastal.
So we've been watching the weather, and previously it was going to be a roll of the dice. It was going to be calm on either, and then the weather, it shifts. You just have to keep watching it. And as soon as we hit the intercoastal, the winds just picked up. We were getting 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts, and that was definitely
even more.
Yes, we're definitely doing the ICW the protected way and not going out into the ocean, because it would have been about a 48-mile transit in the ocean
with no way to come back in.
Limited ways to come back in. There are inlets, but they're all kind of a local knowledge sort of thing. So we just did the ICW on the way up. We had been concerned about it because on maps it looks super narrow. We thought like New River, Miami River narrow, but it's really not that narrow. I mean, it is narrow, and it definitely is a problem on the weekends.
Yes.
Because there's some no wake zones or wake zones, and the wake can just, because it's going against the walls of the canal.
Yeah, so the On a weekday morning, it was actually very pleasant. We hardly had to deal with any other boats, or they call the little jet skis shooting around water roaches, is what the water taxi captain told us. And so we had a very pleasant cruise, but I can see that on like a weekend or afternoons, they could be unpleasant. So where are we now?
We're at Lake Boca Raton, which is obviously Boca Raton. This is a little anchorage. There's a sandbar in the middle behind us, and then the boats just kind of all anchor around it depending upon what the wind protection they needed. And the winds have been coming from the northeast, so we're all kind of in the northeast corner for the protection of the land. It's very calm this morning, but yesterday it was still kicking when we got in.
Kicking, you mean the tunes from the boats around us?
Oh, yes. Once we got in, we got our anchor set. We're just relaxing, swinging on the hook, getting caught up on some work.
And then a huge 68-foot party boat pulls in literally feet away from us. It's swarming. I think they had like 3 crew and 15 guests, and then actually a whole other second boat and 3 jet skis and a lot of young girls jumping up and down into the water. And
playing tunes pretty loud. Thankfully, good tunes.
Good music.
But so all day they pulled in, I guess, around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they pulled out at sundown, so around 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, which was fine.
It was fun. It was actually kind of fascinating to watch this professional crew catering to this big family or outing or rendezvous or whatever was going on next to us. It was entertaining. It definitely would have gotten old if it had been multiple days. But
one of the advantages of this anchorage is just across the way is a city dock. Little boat ramp, county park or something like that.
Yep.
And you can just tie up your dinghy there, and you're walking distance to a whole bunch of restaurants.
So we walked to a Thai restaurant and then out to the beach and back. So it's like beautiful. We got a good walk in. We got a really neat town. This would be an interesting place to stay longer and explore.
And we would be very tempted to if we weren't anxious to get to Fort Pierce for the MTOA, a rendezvous that we're on the way for, and that it is now Friday. And it's going to be probably very busy and chaotic here with the sandbar. It is a popular local spot for hanging out on the weekends. And it is kind of the end of spring break season.
Yes.
So we kind of want to get the miles done in this canal area.
And get up to wider waters up in Lake Worth.
Yes, before the weekend. So we're going to transit those today. We've got about 30 more miles before we're to wider waters. And there's an anchorage up there we've got our eye on. So hopefully it all works out.
Cool. Nice long cruise today.
4 days. 4 days back in motion.
Feels so good, and it has been beautiful, and a wonderful calm night sleeping on the water, and neat night downtown in Fort Lauderdale, and it just feels so good to be back on this adventure.
All right, that was 7 minutes of babbling.